in the meantime, I'd been going with a boy back home. His name was Willis Valentine, and he was a first cousin to one of my uncles to a wife, one of my mother's brothers married, and he lived at Colfax, Louisiana. So I'd been dating him quite a while, and he wanted to get married, but I wasn't ready to get married. I didn't have getting married on my mind then. So he had a beautiful ring. It had a great big ruby. It was white gold and had a big ruby, and it had little rubies all around it, and a little ruby and a little pearl, little ruby and a little pearl. It was a beautiful ring. And he said, I want you to wear my ring. You can wear my ring. And says, I want you to keep that ring till you can say yes, and let's get married. And he was a nice-looking fellow, but I wasn't in the marrying mood. So anyway, I told him, all right. So I took the ring and was wearing it. So I wore this ring all this time, I still had the ring. And he wrote me a letter to and told me, asked me if I decided to say yes, and he didn't ask for the ring or anything. So I didn't have any money to get back to get Little Rock on, and I wanted to go back to Little Rock was what I wanted to do and try the telephone office again. So I thought I could maybe I could do the telephone office and then get some other kind of a job for evening, and I'd try that. So there's a restaurant or something, washing dishes in a restaurant, anything. So I didn't have the money to get back, and so I decided on something really naughty. I went to the depot and asked the depot agent how much a ticket to Little Rock was, and he told me, and I said, how much is one to Montgomery, Louisiana? Just about the same. So I said, well, I'm going to come in here and buy a ticket I want a ticket to Little Rock, Arkansas, but I'm going to ask for a ticket to Montgomery, Louisiana. And I said, when you get the ticket, fix up the ticket for me, put it in an envelope and seal the envelope and just hand an envelope to me. And so I said, and he'll pay for the ticket. My gentleman friend will pay for the ticket. And he said, okay now. Says, you said Little Rock. And I said, yeah. And I said, don't you dare say Little Rock, say Montgomery. And he said, okay. So I told this fellow that I wanted to go.
Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, I told him that I would let him keep my ring if he would pay for my ticket home. And he said, when you come back? And I said, well, I'll stay about 10 days and I'll come back, and I want you to help me get a job. He said, okay, so I'll do everything I can to help you. So I said, well, you go with me to get the ticket tomorrow evening. He said, okay. And I said, the train leaves at such and such time. He said, okay. He said, now, I'm going to keep this ring till you come back. And I said, okay. So we went to the depot, and I told the depot agent I wanted a ticket to Montgomery, Louisiana. And I said, how much is it? And he told me how much it was, $16 and something, I think. So I said, I want a ticket to Montgomery, Louisiana. And he said, okay. So he fixed it up and put it in an envelope, sealed envelope, and wrote Montgomery, Louisiana on it. Handed it to me. So this fellow, he pulled out the money and says, how much? I said it was, and he told him $16 and something. He paid for it. He had my ring on his finger then, so we waited till the train came, and I had my grip and everything. We waited till the train came and got on the train. Well, this little girl from Jackson, Louisiana, she was going too, so she'd got her ticket that day sometime, so she got on too. So the train started up, and I told Doc goodbye, and I'd see him in about 10 days, so he said he'd be waiting for me. So anyway, well, the train started up and went on. We got to Texarkana, I think, and had to change trains. I did. She did. We both had to change trains. So I said, no, I did, but she didn't. So I said, I'll tell you goodbye. And she says, I was going to get off and stay a while with you at your home and then going down to Jackson. Says, aren't you going home? You said you was going home. And I said, no, I'm not going to home. I said, I'm going to Little Rock. And she said, well, why did you lie about it like you did? I says, to get a ticket to get to Little Rock. I said, I paid for it. I left my ring. And she said, you going to trade him that beautiful ring for a ticket to Little Rock? And I said, that's what I did. And she says, well, you're the naughtiest thing I ever saw. I took my grip and said her goodbye and got off the train and changed trains and went to Little Rock. And I got a job at the telephone office, and I got a little job in a restaurant, just passing the menus around and filling the orders, for in the evening, and I was doing pretty well, but I wasn't making as much as I wanted to, and so I finally give up. Little Rock was beautiful. The roses were blooming. It was in February, and I decided that I'd have to go back to Boathouse, and wasn't anything else. So I told Mother Stone about it, and she says, well, why don't you write some applications? She says, a nice big one. Says the one in Osawatomie, Kansas I've heard is pretty good, and says a lot of them that you can write applications to, and I said, well, I believe I will. So I sat down and wrote 7 applications. I wrote one to Osawatomie, Kansas, one to Veneta, Oklahoma. That was the closest one. Application. She's a nice big one. Says the one in Osawatomie, Kansas I've heard is pretty good, and says a lot of them that you can write applications to, and I said, well, I believe I will. So I sat down and wrote 7 applications. I wrote one to Osawatomie, Kansas, one to Veneta, Oklahoma. That was the closest one, and one to Pueblo, Colorado, one to Phoenix, Arizona, one to Patton, California, and one to Fort Supply, Oklahoma, and one to Norman, Oklahoma. 7 of them. And do you know, the next morning, well, 2 mornings later, I wrote letters. 2 mornings later, I got 7 telegrams, believe it or not. One from every one of them offered me a job. Veneta offered me a job in domestic department if desired. And I just had enough money to go to Veneta, so I quit the telephone office and went to Veneta and went to work. And I worked there almost 2 years, and then I got married, and that was the end of the story. So that was the end of my hospital work.